Early deck list is going to show you what which decks have the best strategy against the others. I'm sorry for the visuals if this video keeps on cutting off. Um, I'm sorry about the lighting. I wish I could do more about it, but at the moment I can't. Either way, I'm gonna be telling you exactly what decks have a better chance at survival and what decks have a better chance of going against each in the in I guess this format you could say, and I will be giving a deck that I have. Yes, none of these decks are complete so far. One of these decks, which happens to be this one, is actually I'm actually giving you guys deck list, which I will if I can remember him, I'll give you a shout out in the next. I'll give him a shout out in the next video. He is a YouTuber, so when I give him a shout out, I'll be asking you guys to check out his channel. Though he is a lot more successful than I am at the moment. So I ask that anyone anyone who's watching this, please subscribe to my channel. It would seriously mean a lot to me, and it would show me that at least the more that I get, it will show that I'm actually bringing something that is at least relevant, at least for local players. I'm not too sure about tournament players. I'm sorry if it doesn't really matter, but okay. Sorry for getting sidetracked. I just wasted 2 minutes of your time. Either way, let's get into this. Okay, so we have the Super Heavy Samurais, the DDDs, the actor, of course, the Monarchs. Now, only three of these decks run deck, which happens to be these three. The Monarchs, you play Domain. If you play Domain of the True Monarch, Domain of the Monarchs, it will help your opponent on. Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat. Um, it would seriously knock your opponent off of it will like knock your opponent off of his game. It can actually cut him off from special summoning by using, well, this card will allow him to allow you to see what he drew into. Oh my god, sorry for the visuals. Alright, so this card will allow you to see what he drew into and essentially allow him to draw it or shuffle it back under his deck. This card allows you to negate special summonings as long as he's on, which tribute summon this one during your opponent's turn through a trap card that I will get into in a bit will actually help out tremendously. This card allows you to normal effect special if a monster with 800 or less attack and 1000 defense, mainly your this card. Let me zoom in there. Whoa, sorry about that. Mainly this card, this mainly use her to special him, and then tribute both for a big time monarch, which actually helps out big time. Um, of course, this is your main search card. I'm sorry, I'm getting into like details. This is probably going to be like a longer video. This card will help you keep your opponent out of their locked out of their extra deck. Um, Essential draw power and protection for 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 your cards. Of course, you don't have anything to tribute. This card helps out. Destroy another one. This one helps you search out your monsters. Of course, revive from the grave. Search out level one. Search out level one. Well, search and special level one. Add level one from the grave. Helps with tributing. Um, More protection. more draw power, and of course the one that allows you to tribute during your opponent's turn, which is essentially amount of Morgan Lumina use their actually is one thing that you want to do when a super heavy samurai have that one monster spells and and essentially okay, so the super heavy samurai this cards from your right here. He allows you to banish spells and traps from your opponents from both graveyards, and and in doing so, you actually get that opportunity to um, you get the opportunity to essentially to your opponent 500 damage. I do believe it was. Let me check that right now. Uh, sorry, you inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each card that for each spell slash trap card that was banished, which would actually screw up this play. Mainly screw with this one because, of course, is based on pure pendulum monsters. You will rarely ever see a monster in the graveyard, but you will see a lot of spells and traps and well spells in the graveyard, mainly because my abyss actors don't run any traps at the moment. But once I take out the Odd Eyes version or the Odd Eyes engine within it and start using the when the new stuff comes out and start using the new cards, you will actually see that deck will have at least three things, which I will mention in another video. But this deck allow essentially against the monarchs and of course against the this deck and this deck. Essentially, if your opponent does not know what your abyss scripts do, essentially, technically, your opponent will be baited into popping your back row, and upon popping your back row, your you have an abyss actor in your extra deck. Your opponent just screwed himself over because you get to add, of course, directly you can add out your opponent's field by spamming your entire field. Then your opponent pops one of your abyss scripts that allows you to allow your script abyss statement and it allows you to special summon all these monsters from your graveyard. I mean, do your as many script abyss statement to essentially opponent's off link summons, which is actually good. But the DDDs, on the other hand, which I'm running a pendulum build at the moment. Let me see if I can get to the pendulum parts. Yes, you can see all the do not have the the chronographs where there is. So currently at the moment I'm using two Dragon Odd Eyes only for that only for the double damage part and of course the other stuff. But the main thing is you always want to like have your Kali Yuga on the field mainly to negate your opponent's effects every time it's Exe summoned, so everything on the field will essentially be negated. And of course, that helps out tremendously in this deck because you negate everything on the field, then fusion summon with Swirl Slime from the hand, and of course, you get to play off a lot of things. So that helps out a lot. Plus, the fact that there is a card in the deck, well, in the extra deck, which is Super Doom King Bright Armageddon that allows you to negate Pendulum Monster's abilities when going up against, say, Abyss Actors Odd Eyes, Pendulum Magicians. That card comes in big time handy when going up against Pen Magicians because essentially your opponent pendulum summons or special summons a pendulum monster by its effect. Every time he would special summon a pendulum monster, he has to choose one pendulum monster that he wants to allow to keep its effects in 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 effect, and of course the rest will be negated. So that you always at any given point. Now, the fact that that this sorry, I am going to be jumping around. So the fact that this card will allow spells and traps effect. Um, Pretty much your opponent cannot activate when any spells or traps when it hits the field. Also, it allows you to set an abyss script directly from your deck to the field, so you could actually potentially have abyss script, abyss statement set face down. Your opponent pops it. You have, say, Wild Hope in your face up in your extra deck. Then by effect special this card and spam your field of abyss actor monsters. Then use Superstar's effect. Set set this card face down. Then you activate it and potentially wipe out your opponent's board. Plus, by this one's effect, once once you activate this card's effect, your opponent cannot negate because you already have a level 7 Abyss Actor monster on the field, which potentially stuns your opponent from activating effects to negate, um, which does in every possible sense of the game. And you have no idea how much this deck can do almost under but was big time neglected for the first time it was premiered. It was first shown in Soldiers. A lot of people neglected it. Pretty much majority of the Yu-Gi-Oh community neglected it. Um, when I saw this deck in action, I was like, oh my god, I got to make this deck. Like, you have no idea how broken this deck is, and once even more broken to the point where your opponent will literally just screw themselves over multiple times with that new spell card, Abyss Script, Fantastic Theater, which is the field spell for this deck, and that one just allows you, every time your opponent would activate a card effect, in potential, you every time he would activate a card effect, that field spell will force your opponent to actually have a card to make that effect. Say, destroy one set card on your opponent's side of the field. So that is literally how epic this deck is gonna get. Which I'm hoping that this deck will become a little bit more aware of the power because to be honest, it is fun, like, being into popping like, really, who the hell is, like, once you start seeing this deck, you're gonna be more of the back row, and of course you would actually want to be using in their deck mainly to get a better deck before you duel. Of course, as I said, Monarchs will pretty much negate special summonings. Also, it will also it'll stop special summonings. It will lock your opponent out of their extra deck if their main thing is to rely on their extra deck. And yeah, now the one deck that I do not have, but I want to give a shout out to the person who does run it, is my friend JP. Now I want to talk about his deck for a bit before I end this video. Um, my friend JP's deck is his main deck is Buster Bladers. The Buster Bladers is essentially a good deck. Its nickname is literally "You cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh." Um, but hold on, let me switch the cam. Okay, so So the deck is literally essentially named You Can Win. The reason is because it essentially locks you out of your effects, it locks you out of your extra deck. I do believe, if I remember correctly, it essentially locks you out of pretty much everything. Grave, field spells, and that is a lot of stuff that it can lock you out of, mainly because that deck is so overpowered that like literally it's hardly ever seen played, just like the like my abyss actors. But that one potentially has the effect change your opponent's monsters to dragons, then switch them to face up defense position, not allowing them to change their positions whatsoever, and then going off to attack them and overpowering your opponent because hell, they do piercing battle damage. I mean, their fusion monster does piercing battle damage. Like, who the hell's not gonna want to run a deck like that? I mean, I've tried to make the deck found out that normal of the fact that their cells are extremely hard to come across. They're so hard to come across that literally almost no one has in their things. And of course, I'm guessing Konami was hoping that a lot of more people would be running the deck, mainly because their traps recently being released, and I do believe it was Maximum Crisis. The same one where the Dynamists have gotten their traps are they're good with spamming your field. Of course, they're good with protecting themselves from the with their pendulum effects, and of course they overpower your opponent so bad that you essentially want to be running the deck. I mean, I made a mistake by trading off my back, mainly because that deck is so overpowered you can literally OTK your opponent right there and then. Like with with limiter removal becoming at 2, with limiter removal at 2 now, that you have 2 limiter removal. You have the Spinos in your monster zone, and you used its effect, if I remember correctly, to tribute 2 Dynamist monsters that you controlled, and essentially allow it to attack twice and attack directly. Limited removal, removal that is 5,000. That is like literally right there, and that just attacking once is just enough to like game. If your opponent has nothing to negate it with, which usually in this era, a lot of your opponents will be negating. Um, though I do want to heavily, really want to remake the deck, which I found is essentially good. But that's all for now, guys. Um, Later down the line, I might actually be making a second version of this video, though I will try to remember on Monday that I will be bringing you guys a core a core version of my Odd Eyes Abyss actors. Um, but yeah, because a lot of people are mistaking the fact of a core, and I do have a core version of a deck, and I will showcase that um, tomorrow, Monday. So that's all for now, guys. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe this video. I do ask that um, you please subscribe to this video. Hit the notification bell right beside the subscribe button, so you can be notified of every video I up that I mainstream Wednesday and Friday. Um, I will try to be bringing you guys everything that I can. I want to give a huge shout out, pretty much all of my subscribers, mainly to my friends and my parent, from my friends, my mom, her friends, everyone who's subscribed. You guys really made my day so much. My mom especially, because she actually supported me going into this. um I couldn't even, like, I wouldn't even be able to go into this if my mom hadn't supported me doing so. And my friends for showing me exactly that I can do this if I wanted to. um yeah, like, to be honest, all of came from my friends and family, and I do encourage that if you have a dream, do follow it. I know this part is getting out of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I do believe that this is a part that you should actually be aware of. If you believe that you can't do something, as long as you have the people backing you up and will catch you in case you fall from your goal, and push you to the point where you make it to your goal, you have true family and true friends. That's all for now, guys. I'll be seeing you guys back here on Monday. God bless you.